Hello, gorgeous soul. Welcome to Susie's Enchanted Crossroads. I'm Susie, and this podcast helps you navigate your journey through the crossroads by taking a deeper look into witchcraft and spirituality. So settle in, grab your beverage of choice, and let's get this episode going. Hello, gorgeous soul. Oh my goodness, I am recording this ahead of time. Um, if you caught the last episode, you know that I was not in my original recording space. I'm actually taking care of a family member right now. So it's been a little chaotic, to say the least. But I want to say thank you all so much for all of the love, for tuning in, for listening. And this is a big episode because when this drops, I'm going to probably drop this a little bit sooner. But I'm Susie's Enchanted Crossroads podcast turns 1 years old Wednesday, the 12th of March. I, the way that I am beaming and smiling right now, it just makes my heart so happy. Not that I'm out here talking into a microphone, and sending these out on Spotify and iHeartRadio and Apple Pod and all that other stuff, but because I really felt so connected to this. And it helped me get connected to you. Yeah, you listening right now. You make me the happiest. Not only are you listening to my little podcast, listening to me, learning, embracing hopefully your journey. I'm hoping I'm answering questions, but this all is possible because I have you reaching out and really conversing with me on this podcast. And I was getting some questions because I had asked on my socials, like, what should I do for celebrating 1 year? So, first off, as I'm recording, it is Friday, March 7th. And let me see. I'm going to go on, and my little milestone was like, hey guys, can we hit 1K downloads before my podcast turns 1 years old? That'd be freaking awesome. It was just really, I don't know, something I put out there like 1K, 1 year, like, brr, 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 like awesome. But holy shit, you guys. I mean, obviously I've been pushing, but in the last 7 days alone, 124 downloads. And we are at 963 downloads. So it really isn't so far-fetched that we might actually hit 1K by March 12th. But even so, this was such a major gift. I want to say just thank you for listening. And if this is your first episode, hi, welcome. Welcome to my little corner of the world here, where I sit and I talk to you about being stuck at the crossroads on your journey, on your path. So as I go backwards a little bit, and I was asking, what should we do? I got an array of like, do a giveaway, do questions, Q&A, do a live recording. And where I am in my life right now, I would have done all of those things, to be very honest. But the one that was a little bit more helpful was the Q&A. So the reason being is because I won't be in my own space to do a live recording, but maybe at the 2 year mark, things will be a little bit calmer. We can do it. Um, a giveaway, I would love to do that. Actually, I would like to do a 1K giveaway. Um, and just kind of maneuver my way around. I just haven't been brainstorming a lot of ideas because there's just been a lot going on. And I know that there's a lot going on all over the place, and it's rough out here, right? Even now, I'm I live in the desert, and this week, y'all, I felt like I was like we live in Arrakis. Arrakis is the planet in Dune, where it was just you couldn't see outside. Like we kept getting emergency alerts on our phones because of the low visibility with dirt in the air. Like dirt, dust everywhere. So if my throat sounds a little scratchy, if I'm clearing my throat out or I'm taking long pauses, it's because my it's just dust just settling and making its way downtown, like literally just making its home in my chest. So with that, thank you so much for allergy meds and Mullen and mugwort to help me because mm-mm, it's just a rough time, you know? It's not fun. Dust just settles every fucking where. Okay. So I settled in for Q&As because I kind of did this last minute with everything happening. I didn't get too many cues, but I'm gonna A those cues. So, first question that came in was what made me start a podcast? And to be very honest, this goes back to when I co-hosted a podcast with a friend of mine. And here's the thing. I was fresh on my journey and I had heard about going live and podcasting and it was a seed I had planted like I think I can do this. I just didn't know how to do it because this was pre-COVID, I it's not like I was knew everything and everything, especially technology based, because I was very much like intimidated by technology. But I'm not intimidated to go on in front of a camera, go live and talk. I teach, so I'm not really scared of that, especially being on another side of a device. Just to me, that's not scary. It's like a fun nervous, you know? At the time, that's what I was thinking. So friended a girl and we hit it off right away. And she wanted to start a podcast with another one of her friends, but her other friend was just way too shy. And so we were talking about it and we were just like, we should just go live. Like, let's just go. And we did it. And then that's when the idea of bouncing back and forth, like, what do you think about starting a podcast? Well, I've always wanted to. And that's just how it started. So we did that for a while, but it's really difficult to get two people together sometimes on a schedule, especially because like I teach and I coach. And she was starting her new business. And maybe I'm a little overbearing, but like I like to research and, meet at a certain time because that's just how it is like in my life at the moment where her schedule is very unpredictable at the time because when you're starting your own business, well, there's a whole slew of things that you're learning. So we ended up having to retire that podcast, but there was just a part of me where I was like, no, I love doing this. Could I really do my own podcast? And I was sitting with it for a while. And I finally was like, I literally threw my hands up in the air and said, fuck it. Fuck it. I'm gonna do it. Like, who's gonna stop me? Basically. What am I scared of? It's just me with the mic, and I'm just gonna send it out there. And y'all, this year you have been getting raw, no edits. Mm-mm. Because one, I didn't know how to edit. And two, I'm trying to be authentic and this is just how I am. Now going back, listening to some of these, the and the long pauses, yeah, that's probably got to go. So maybe the second year I'll start editing a little bit better. But I think my love for teaching and my love for equally learning because I don't know everything. That's why I had guests on. I am continuously learning this craft with you. And I wanted everyone out there to know that this podcast was started because I was on the other end. I didn't know what I was freaking doing. I was out of like a 15-year relationship and I was just getting this call and this pull and Sometimes it can be for whatever, wherever that call and that push is guiding you. But this was just a series of things where I was finally pulling back, I guess, the blindfold and really seeing things that had been asking for. I had been wanting these things, manifesting these things. But because of where I was in my life, I was like, well, that's just a coincidence. Well, now I'm just seeing what I want to see. Well, now my brain is just perceiving it as, well, if I'm thinking of a blue kite, well, yeah, now I'm going to start seeing blue kites everywhere. You know what I mean? So I was second guessing myself. I wasn't listening to my intuition. I kept, eh, is this really for me? And at one point, I was like, okay, this is getting a little scary. Is this really for me? Am I getting a sign from God? Because I was praying so hard. And if you didn't know, I was raised Catholic. And if you haven't heard my Lent Ash Wednesday episode, which is right before this one, go take a listen. So I was doing a lot of praying because that's what I knew, right? I didn't know a lot of where I am now. I knew a lot of mythology and stories, and I just knew I had a lot of questions. So when I was thinking of, okay, I'm ready for a name change, this all came around this time, before this time, but now it was really settling in. In February, I was like, this is gonna change. I want a new identity, not a new identity, but I want, who is Susie? Who is Susan? You know what I mean? Like, this is who I thought I was. I've been evolving. I have just been pushing myself down to be small and to fit into a box where everybody was used to me being the nice one and basically, you can call me for anything and everything. I'll always be there, always smiling, always happy. But who am I really? What do I want? What do I desire? What path am I on? Is this really my path? So, what I didn't know at the time was that I was coming into a rebirth. And with that rebirth, I was looking at my Instagram and, I was already doing tarot offerings. I was already taking the Reiki classes. This was after COVID now. There was just a lot of shift in energy. And when I sat down with it, I was like, yeah, I'm Susie. And before this, I had an enchanted market, right? I would sell my oils and my bath salts and my candles and all kinds of things, readings. But when I stopped and I was like really pausing, I was like, you know what? I want to be the one to help you when you're at the crossroads between a rock and a hard place. To remind you to stay curious, not judgmental. Be a curious skeptic, not an asshole. And to kind of see things through maybe a different lens, like the hanged one, like the hanged man in tarot. You know, you it's like that self-sacrifice, but also look at things when you're too close to the picture, now you can really see things for how they are. And that's how that came about. I learned I had a mentor at the time. I was really reaching out to witchy spiritual people and following them. I just felt ready. And honestly, it was just a little handheld mic that my husband had gotten me and did Zoom and there we go. Did a lot of research where I wanted to how I wanted to upload it because when I co-hosted the podcast before this one, I didn't do any of that. I let my friend do all of that because I was like, no, 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 what if I mess it up? What if I accidentally delete something? And I didn't do any of that stuff. I didn't do any of that side of marketing. I didn't do any of that technology, anything. And even then, as I was already on my spiritual journey, that was where I had to learn how to do things. Oh, It's not really that difficult. It's just something new that might take me a little bit more time to understand and learn than maybe somebody next to me. That's okay. We all learn at our own pace. And that's the grace I had to give myself. So, yeah, Susie's Enchanted Crossroads was basically born. Now, for that was on my Instagram. So actually, I'm gonna pull up my Instagram. You're gonna hear this in real time because, like I said, I don't me editing, no. So March 11th is when I dropped, and it's pinned right now. If you want to look at it, I'll keep it pinned for a little bit. But I pinned something because I was Dance Tarot Witch before. And I felt like I was neglecting my needs and I ignored my higher calling, my higher self. But my higher self wasn't giving up on me. I knew there was a shift. And the thing is that who we were before, there's no shame there. There's nothing there. There's no judgment. Because who we were before was really forging and paving the way to who you are now. And when I was thinking of this podcast and how I was going to launch it, I got a hold of a friend of mine who's the bee's knees for astrology. And we got an appointment, and I was like, all right, Jay, this is what I want. I want to drop this podcast. This is what it's about. This is the energy I want to give out. And so we were, by we, I mean she, they were, they were looking into the planets, the stars, and they asked me, well, when do you want this to drop? Soon, later, next year, when? And I said, whatever feels aligned in the stars. It doesn't have to be tomorrow. It could be next month, 3 months, end of the year. I'm not in a rush. I want this to come in divine timing. So when I had this appointment with them, we sat down and I was like, this planetary everything right here on a Wednesday, mercurial energy, um, Pisces season, very dreamy, but very, I'm a Virgo, so it's also the opposite sign of me. Everything aligned perfect. And if you want me to go into that, I can a little bit more. Oh, it'd be amazing if I could have Jay on. Uh, but yeah, that's March 11th is when I downloaded all the changes on my Instagram. And then the next day is when I dropped my podcast. Now, funny thing, just like when anything is born, I thought I was going to drop this podcast on the 13th because I was like, ooh, and then one day it'll land on Friday the 13th. And I think that would be like so cool, la la la. But again, I was learning all the technology stuff and then it just posted March 12th. Not the time I thought it was gonna be born, right? But sometimes when things are born, it's out of your hands. So I embrace that. I really do. To turning 1 years old, Susie's Enchanted Crossroads. Um, Now the next question I got was how do I figure out the topics I was coming up with? Well, I figured if you're at the crossroads, we got to start from the beginning, right? So I did the whole welcome and then I did which witch are you? Now, when I was Dance Tarot Witch, it was a play on words. It wasn't WITCH, it was WHICH because at that time I was doing a lot of dance, a lot of movement, tarot readings, but also a lot of journaling and writing. So when I came into my journey, I automatically heard, oh, you could be a kitchen witch, you can be a garden witch, you can be all these type of witches. And I was like, oh my goodness. So that's how I started. And then when you kind of figure out your little area, then it's like, oh, okay, well, now there's foundations here. How to cast a circle, how to ground, how to breathe, maybe how to call in guides or ancestors. Then after that, we had an eclipse coming at Mercury retrograde. And I was like, oh my gosh, we got to talk about this. Especially because that solar eclipse was happening. I was at work and we were actually able to see almost like, solar eclipse totality, but it was a lot of energy. And there's just a lot going around like, don't make eclipse water. Yes, make eclipse water. And what's Mercury retrograde? And why are we always talking about it and making fun of it? So when I started dropping these episodes, I wanted to make sure that I started with a good foundation for everybody, especially if you're new starting out on your journey. Even if you're not new starting on your journey, sometimes we need a reminder of, oh yeah, I need to continue to work on protecting myself daily or whatever. So I like to take a couple of things where if I had a question in the beginning, I would obviously um, look it up or look for answers to my questions. And then I take whatever's happening, during that timeline where I'm recording and, bring it like the solar eclipse, like Mercury retrograde. What is that, and make a little episode out of it. I also like to hear directly from you if you have questions or suggestions on topics, and I've done some of those too. Because if that's what you have a question about, or you think this would, be a cool topic, why wouldn't I? This podcast isn't like for me to like record and then just listen to myself again. That's kind of weird, but hey, to each their own. This podcast is about me and you going through this journey. It's it's a time where we connect together, whether we're driving to work together, on a walk together, wherever it is that, cleaning house together. I want you to feel like you can always come back to these episodes and listen and feel supported. Feel like we are literally having a one-on-one conversation, you and I. That's how I am with my newsletters also. If you're if you didn't know I have a newsletter, I have all the links in the show notes, but the newsletter is free. I'm doing something different now where I gave you a card for the week because maybe that's what you need. Like, what's the energy like? I'm on this path. Even if you know tarot, don't know tarot, whatever. The way that I word things is not to sound like, look at all the things I know. No, that's why I have guests, you know? So this is about us sharing together the questions, the topics. This is where we bounce ideas off each other. This is where I'm talking about a subject or something that happened and something clicks within you and your energy shifts and you're like, "You know what? Hell yeah. I'm going to do that thing or I'm going to say that or you know what? This is my time." That's why I have this podcast. And that's how I generated a lot of these episodes. Now, some of them were like questions that I had. Some of the things are like things that are happening. I'm based in the US, so a lot of things that were happening here that continue to happen here. And a lot of it is kind of 101 things, but it's for you, it's for us. We are a collective together, whether you're listening in the States or you're listening in some other part of the world, which is a freaking amazing. Someone out in is in Germany listening to me. Hi. It's it's amazing to me the different areas that people are listening to. And really that makes my heart happy because as I always say, you are the magic. You truly and really are. And that magical being isn't always like in your country, in your state, in your city. And that's when I started like, all right, let's look at other folklores or other ways that other people practice. That's how we learn from each other. Now, not stepping on toes, not cultural appropriation, not closed practices, but just learning about that. Because when I came into, I'm like, oh, hoodoo and voodoo, those are closed practices. But it's learning why. And it's understanding the history. Not coming from a place, well, that's silly. Why can't I? No, that's not the energy that we're doing there. Not at all. So, yeah, that's how I come up with a lot of the episodes or that I did. And I was kind of hard on myself. I was like, man, I feel like I'm all over the place, but as a Virgo and as a human being, as the firstborn daughter and Hispanic, trying to relinquish a little bit of control, it's it's good for you. Yeah, and it's been good for me. It's noting that sometimes we get the tower card and we feel the foundation be underneath our feet just give way. It's like walking on an ice rink without your ice skates and you're just kind of slipping around and trying to gather your balance. That's life sometimes, trying to find balance once again. And sometimes maybe you hold on to the wall and you do it yourself, and other times maybe you reach out and someone holds on to either hand and glides you. And maybe they glide you to, hey, you're not properly dressed. There's no footwear here. This is ice. You can't be wearing tennies. And then they help guide you. And then that's where you're like, oh, okay, what kind of ice skates do I want? What color resonates or whatever. And then venturing out onto the ice again. That's my little podcast. And then sharing your stories. I love hearing your stories. Because like I said, this podcast isn't for me to upload or, upload into the ethers and then come back and listen to me talk. I do listen to the episodes because I learn and sometimes I'm like, "Ooh, why is there such a long pause right there?" Unless I say, "All right, let's take a breath and let's take a sip of coffee or water," which is what I'm going to do right now. Then I understand the long pause. And sometimes I'm like, "Oh, I was like really thinking." And I have to remind myself, "Hey, so people can't see you taking this long pause, so maybe make some kind of noise or something." But this is a journey where I'm learning. And how many episodes? I think what were we up to? Yeah, I hit my 52 episodes and I wasn't sure how I wanted this podcast to drop, monthly or once a week or once every other week. It just really depends on one, the time, because in case you didn't know, podcasting costs some money. Not a, I mean, what I have, my plan is not a lot because I don't have that. And I don't get any, and this is another question, do I receive any money or anything when I do this podcast? And the answer is no. This is a labor of love. So when you book with me and you click on all the links, that really does help. I don't get money from it, but at least it's getting pushed out there. When you book with me, yeah, I can at least pay. I got to pay for Zoom. I got to pay for, the platform that I'm on, how you listen. But I'm very frugal, so I'm trying not to break the bank here. But just like in my previous episodes, a big shout out to you. I was just so happy when I hit 500 downloads. I was like, oh my God. I remember telling my husband, oh my gosh, babe, I have 500 downloads. I cannot believe it. I literally couldn't believe it. And now, and now I'm here. And I'm here with you. And I can't wait for season two. I have new ideas. I I am so excited to begin this next year of our journey and our path together and just connecting with you and your energy and really hearing from you in all corners of the world because we're all interconnected as humans, as energy. And sometimes you just need to hear a supportive voice or just telling someone telling you, you know, you're gonna be okay. It's okay to cry. It's okay to be angry. It's okay to scream. It's okay to laugh and be and live a little bit. Sometimes the state of things are the state of things, but at the end of the day, we do have to make sure that we fill our own cup. And could I practice what I preach? Absolutely. Yeah, I really could. But this podcast is more than just a podcast. I'm not someone famous. I don't make millions of dollars. Shoot, I don't even make thousands of dollars. You know what I mean? I do this because I have the love for it. I do this because when I had a lot of questions, I finally wasn't scared to ask, and I shot my shot, and people were so helpful. This was before the craft was like super mainstream. And it was a lot. I was going through a lot and had a lot of questions. And it's not like I didn't have family or supportive friends. I was just in a place where, you can be around a room full of your friends or acquaintances and you can still feel alone because there's just something that is missing that you need to go out and get. Go out and get it. Do a little bit of research. Or if you need help, hit me up. I got all the links. You can find me on my socials. Email me. There's even on here, if you look, I think it says text me or something, and you can actually put a message there. No one has tried it. To be honest, I didn't even know that was freaking there. I mean, I saw it and I was like, what? What is that? But you can literally click on that and send me a message. Whatever it is, reach out. Innately, people do want to help you, but sometimes you do got to take off the rose-colored glasses and really make sure that people are there to actually support you and not half-ass support you where it's like, yeah, that's a great idea, and then really give you the evil eye after because they don't want to see you leave or succeed or grow. Because nobody wants to get quote unquote left behind, but no one is really behind. You just need to come into realization of things on your own timing, but also don't shit on other people when they're trying to help you. Truly, because sometimes when you're on this path, any path actually, not even if you're on here and let's say you're not witchy at all, you're not spiritual at all, whatever you're getting out of this, just know that people grow at their own pace and at their own timing. And it's not on us to keep people back because we don't want them to leave because we're not ready or the timing isn't right for us, but also to be really supportive and listen. Take time to like take a deep breath and breathe in and out. Change is scary. It's called growing pains, not growing fun because coming out of your comfort zone can be uncomfortable. It's like when you're a kid and you're go through a growth spurt, like a rebirth, you can think of it, your growth spurt, and then you don't fit into your favorite shirt anymore. And it's kind of sad, but you're growing up. That's how this journey can be sometimes. And if your guides have been gently, trying to push you, you might just get the rug pulled under you. And then it's going to feel like everything is happening to you instead of for you. But that's what this podcast is about. And thank you so much for listening. And if we hit 1K before um, Wednesday, I will have another recording. At this time, I'm going to give myself a little bit of a rest only because, and I say that, and what if I don't? But, anyways, my goal is to come back in April, which only gives me like 2 weeks. And it's not like I'm on vacation, you guys. It really isn't. I still have to work, but um and maybe I will, maybe I won't. But I didn't want to give myself just a little bit of a break just to gather what I want for season 2. I don't want to rush into it either. Uh, but there's just so much going on. We have a lunar eclipse in Virgo this same week. Mercury's going to be in retrograde. Venus is in retrograde. And then we have um, the solar eclipse is going to be in Aries this month. March is going to be like such a whirlwind. So maybe I'll just check in and just see how y'all are doing. But just because I have some ideas and because of the chaos that was my life lately, I want to make sure that I begin this with, with a good solid foundation. Yeah, because I don't want it to be like the tower moment where I'm just like, oh, I'm just eager and let's go, let's go, let's go, and not plan. Because season two is going to be lit. Season one was fun. I'm ready for season two. And I'm ready for your stories. I'm ready to bring in people. I'm ready to really dive deep. I have some episodes that I'm ready to really sink my teeth into and guide you. So thank you for 1 year. And if you're new or haven't caught up, this would be the best time for you to catch up. Leave me a message. Share this podcast. It really does help. And you're probably like, I know you hear that from everyone, share and rate. But the thing is that yeah, when you rate and you share, it shows the algorithm that, oh, people might like what this person has to say. Oh my goodness. Happy eclipse season. Remember that Mercury retrograde isn't scary. It isn't. The retrogrades are a time for you to pause, to reevaluate, to rethink. The eclipse energy is just a little bit more of chaos, but you do what you feel resonates with you. Happy St. Patrick's Day. And don't forget that I have community Reiki every first and third Wednesday of the month, especially if this energy is feeling really wonky on you. It's via Zoom, 7 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. It's at a very reasonable rate, especially with the way things are right now. Basically, just so that you can get some Reiki energy, which is going to feel like taking your bra off after a long, hard day at work or being out. No more constrictions, feeling that relief and really feeling like you're coming back to yourself. Okay. And if you don't wear bras, then think of it like you're wearing like the most uncomfortable jeans after eating a full ass meal and you got to unbutton that button, but you're kind of in a place where you can't unbutton that top button. Yeah. So when you get home, you kick those jeans off and you're finally into something comfortable. That's how Reiki feels. That's the energy. All right, gorgeous souls. I'm gonna keep an eye on these downloads. Hopefully we hit 1K, but if not, I know we're gonna hit it soon, so no worries. And until next time, I will see you not only at the crossroads, but on season two. I love you. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for listening, and we will chat soon.